Okay, let's start by reading the problem description for Fizz Buzz. Given an integer n, return a string array answer, one indexed, where Fizz Buzz is added to the array if I is divisible by 3 and 5, Fizz is added to the array if I is divisible by 3, Buzz is added to the array if I is divisible by 5, and I, as a string, is added to the array if none of the above conditions are true. So for example 1, we have an input of 3. We can see that the array contains the strings 1, 2, and Fizz. We get Fizz because the remainder operator with a dividend and divisor of 3 gives us a remainder of 0. And for our constraints, we can see that n will be greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to 10 to the 4th. For our approach, we're going to use a single for loop. This solution has a big O of n time and space complexity. Here we'll diagram example 3 from Leetcode with an input of 15. We'll start by initializing a variable called answer with an empty array. Then we'll set up a for loop that will iterate up to and including our number input. So our for loop starts at 1. 1 does not give us a remainder of 0 when we have a divisor of 3 or 5, so we push the string of 1 to the array. The loop iterates and 2 does not have a remainder of 0 for either divisor, so it pushes the string 2 to the array. Next we have 3. 3 has a remainder of 0 with a divisor of 3, but not 5. So our first else if condition evaluates to true and we push Fizz to the array. The loop iterates to 4. 4 does not have a remainder of 0 for any of our conditions, so it pushes the string 4 to the array. 5 has a remainder of 0 when the divisor is 5, so our second else if statement evaluates to true and it pushes Buzz to the array. We'll skip ahead to 15. 15 has a remainder of 0 when the remainder operator has a divisor of 3 and 5, so it pushes Fizz Buzz to the array. The for loop exits and we return the answer array. Let's translate this to code. Okay, we'll start by initializing a const called answer with an empty array. We'll set up our for loop. We'll initialize a let called number with a value of 1 since we know that n has to be greater than or equal to 1. Then we'll check that the number is less than or equal to n since n is included. And then we will increment number by 1 once our code block is finished executing. Inside of the for loop, the first thing we'll do is set up an if condition that checks if number remainder 3 equals 0 and number remainder 5 equals 0. If it does, we're going to push Fizz Buzz to our array. Next, we'll set up our else ifs. The first else if, we're going to check if number remainder 3 equals 0. If it does, we're going to push Fizz to our array. For the next else if, we're going to check if number remainder 5 equals 0. If it does, we're going to push Buzz to our array. And then finally, we're going to set up an else, and we are going to push the number as a string if it doesn't have a remainder of 0 for 3 or 5 as the divisor. And then finally, we are going to return our answer array. And that is our solution. Let's copy and paste this into Leetcode. Okay, let's paste it in here. Hit submit. And we get an accepted answer.